Hi everybody, Steve here. Welcome to Monday Morning Musings. Today I want to talk to you about apostles. Apostle this, apostle that. If you come from a charismatic or a Pentecostal type of background, you use that term very loosely. I think there's two extremes we can go to this. We can go to the cessationist extreme that says they all passed away. Or we can turn an apostle into something no more than a superintendent of a large organization. You spend your time, tour duty as a local pastor, you're promoted to apostle. That's not how it works. It's a calling. At its simplest level, it simply means this: somebody who is sent. Apostle is simply the Greek version of missionary. Now, I'm not saying that an apostle is, quote, just a missionary, but it just means a sent one. But too often, particularly in charismatic universes, this turns into an issue of governmental authority and hierarchy. And I have written on this, and it's in my book. I've spoken on this. I'm not saying that. I just want to give you one example of what real apostolic cruciform apostolic ministry looks like. Now, I've shared this at different leadership meetings over the years, and you can hear the air go out of the room because I know who I'm talking to. And these guys and gals that think they're apostle this and apostle that, their definition of apostle isn't the way Paul lived it. In 2 Corinthians, Paul gives a profound explanation of his own ministry. Now remember, in 2 Corinthians, Paul's basically in conflict. I need to pull out my wallet here for a demo. And there's so much money in it, it's hard to reach. Here we go, we got it. The Corinthian church is basically a church of novices, spiritual adolescents, who have been introduced to the wonders and the realities of Christ and resurrection, the overflow of Christ and resurrection into time and space, which manifests the gifts of the Spirit. And I'm going to tell you, frankly, they're out of their minds. That's why Paul wrote 1 Corinthians, and 2 Corinthians is very defensive. Paul makes a defense of his own calling because they're ready to dump him. Now listen, you cannot be an uber apostle with ultimate governing authority and have a local church dump you. You don't have absolute authority. That's not possible if you have absolute authority. But towards the end, around chapter 12, Paul says something so utterly profound. So here's a church that's slandering him, really slandering him, demeaning his ministry, saying, his letters are inspiring, but, in person, he's a lousy preacher. They're getting all excited about other guys. And Paul makes sure and says, look, I may not be an apostle to others, but I am to you. So he defines it relationally, not positionally. But then he says this: to people who are harming him, I will therefore spend, number one, and be spent by you, though I am loved the less for it. Let that sink in a minute. Now look at, I will therefore spend. Spend is, I have my wallet and I take out what I decide when I decide it. Look at this, that's all I'm good for is a single. I get to decide when I'm going to spend and what I'm going to spend on. And there's virtue in that because that's speaking of an investment. Paul says, I'll do that for you. But then Paul says, now remember, not to his friends, not to to people who are abusing him, says, I will be spent by you. You know what that is? That's opening up the wallet and saying, take whatever you want from me. Now that's a tall order. But then Paul ups it again and says, though I am loved the less for it. Folks, we have no chance of realizing any gospel truth, any kingdom truth, if our idea of Christian existence is that I'm going to be treated fairly and justly and righteously by others who call themselves by the name of the Lord. That is an apostolic definition of what agape looks like. Any of us can yak on about agape and love, love, love. But that's what apostolic love looks like. And I don't know too many people, and I know even fewer self-proclaimed apostles who come anywhere near touching that. So I think a lot of the things that my charismatic brethren and friends call apostolic need a real overhaul. And we really need to meditate on that passage. I will therefore spend and be spent by you, though I'm loved the less for it. I'm not saying I'm there, but I am saying that is the cruciform way of life, and that is a cruciform apostolic ministry. And I'll see you next time.